Evil is back. The Drool King Lotor has returned with a dark energy that can destroy the galaxy. Our only hope? The Voltron Force, a team of 5 heroic pilots that control 5 awesome robot lions. When Lotor's monstrous road beasts attack, the lions come together to form Voltron, defender of the universe.
Oh, let's Voltron! Oh, let's Voltron! Oh, let's Voltron!
Welcome, Voltron fans. This is Marc Morel, your host for Let's Voltron, the official Voltron podcast. We're here for another exciting episode review from Voltron Force in the 10th anniversary year. So I've got to bring on my co-host, Greg Tyler. Welcome, Greg.
Hello, Marc Morel. Hello, Voltron fans near and far. It's great to be back with you. We're going to talk about what happens to be my favorite episode. I'll leave that a mystery for the moment. But yeah, we got a guest to bring on too, a special return appearance to the podcast. So who do we have, Mark?
We are excited to bring back to the podcast after a while that we haven't had her on. We are welcoming that Meiko Girl Mel.
Yay! Yo!
Hey,
What
Mel.
up?
How's it going, Mel?
How
It's
are
going.
you?
All right. So what's been new in your world? How long has it been?
At least a year plus. I know I pretty much just dropped off the planet.
Well,
Sorry about that.
we're glad you're back.
I'm glad too. I
Are your
missed
arms-
you.
Are your arms tired from flying off world and coming back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we missed you too, and we're glad to have you back.
I'm so glad.
You've got some awesome art behind you there.
Oh, yeah. I drew none of it.
So that's all your fan art favorites?
They're official arts for the most part.
Oh, okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
And as frequent listeners of the podcast will undoubtedly remember, you've shared your artistic talents with many
yeah.
Voltron fans. And I happened to notice on your YouTube channel recently, you made an awesome, I mean, I was laughing my head off. It was so cool. A video, it was kind of a Mortal Kombat kind of a Allura versus Lotor from Voltron Legendary Defender. Can you tell us about that?
Oh my gosh. I've had that idea in my head for quite some time. Like in the episode, she threw him so hard that he bounced twice, like automatically in a fighting game. When someone bounces off the ground, you can easily juggle them for a bit. And I always would go in the episode, man, she could have juggled him across the room to the wall, but it didn't happen. So I took it upon myself to do it.
It was
Wow.
awesome. So well done. You had the health meters and all the animated effects and everything. It was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've excelled at art, at animation, and at singing.
Oh, thank you again.
Yes. The Voltron in a Winter Wonderland that we did a couple years back. You did an amazing job with that. That was so much fun.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
don't forget the art that you contributed to our 5th anniversary podcast. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, all those characters. Yeah.
And with 4 other artists with you, that was awesome.
Yep.
So
I miss that.
yeah, I miss getting together with everybody at the cons and everything because it's been so long. Luckily, we do have a con that's been going on despite the pandemic, and that's VoltCon.
Oh, yeah, I gotta get to one of those.
Yeah, VoltCon 2021 is in October in Indianapolis.
That's right.
And Mark and I were there in 2019 for their first one. Mark went there. I did not make it in 2020, and we're both planning to be there in 2021. So
Right.
hopefully see you there.
And you don't want to miss Kaltenecker, Benjamin Kaltenecker.
Yeah, he will
Yes.
be a guest.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's great. Fantastic. Fantabulastic.
Yeah, he is a great guy. We had him on the podcast. Mark has met him before in person, and
Yep.
yeah, great guy.
He's stereolactic.
That's a Voltron Force joke. Nice job.
Yes, and we're bringing Voltron Force into this because it's the 10th anniversary year of Voltron Force. So we're excited that we're still continuing our reviews in order of Voltron Force. So this time we have episode 106, The Hunkyard. Who wrote this one, Greg?
The story is by Todd Garfield and Jeremy Corey, and it was written by Todd Garfield. It first aired July 7th, 2011. This was the 6th episode to air. Production number, as you said, Mark, 106. And it, like all the other episodes, was directed by John Delaney.
Right.
So
okay. So lead us away here, Greg.
All right. And this is my favorite episode of Voltron Force. What are your thoughts about it, Mel?
Same.
Oh,
Ditto.
yes. And Mark, what about you?
Well, one thing you notice right away in this episode is the music and just the action. Okay. Just music and action is really pushed to the limits in this episode. And I like that, you know, and it's a very hunk-centric episode, obviously.
Yes, I love it in large part for that very reason. Hunk is my favorite character. So let's go ahead and jump in. So we start out in the hangar of the Castle of Lions, that very large room. And we see that Hunk has a very special project. What's he working on?
A grill. It's like Tim Taylor, you know, Tim Taylor from Home Improvement.
Yeah.
All right. Imagine how he supercharges everything he builds.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So this grill gets the Tim Taylor treatment.
Yes. And he finishes it up. It's got like this saber-toothed tiger emblem like you might see on the front of a sports car. And then he has this enormous slab of ribs that would...
that was like the Flintstones.
Yes, it's actually referenced in the script. It says, and special thanks again to World Events Productions for making the scripts available to help with the reviews. In the script, it says he turns to a platter of gorgeous, ginormous raw steaks and a slab of ribs straight out of the opening credits to the Flintstones.
Right.
So yeah, anyway. Yeah, so he slabs it on and yeah, something happens. Not so good.
Yeah, his grill looks and resembles like a dragster, you know.
Yeah.
So it's got these big, huge pipes coming out of it and everything, and it's got this noise that is just loud as anything.
It's wonderful. Not so wonderful for the ribs, though.
No. Yeah, they turn to ash pretty much instantly.
Yes.
And what do you and Mel, being the artist in the house tonight, what are your thoughts about the mixture of the designs there, the grill and the car and all that? Good, bad? You like it?
Amazing, wonderful. I felt so bad for the ribs, though. They didn't deserve getting burnt up.
Yeah, that's true. Let's have a moment of silence for the ribs. But and then even more happens. The grill takes off and flies.
Poor Hunky Poo, man. He just wanted a barbecue.
Well, before even that, he basically tells, you know, Pidge that the barbecue's off because of the burnt ribs.
Yeah. And Pidge says, "I told you not to cook with jet fuel," and that's what he says right before the grill takes off, smashes through the ceiling of the hangar and up into the sky.
I like how Pidge finishes the sentence. You know, you'd love this grill. And then it shoots through, and he goes, "It's on our radar screen."
And then the castle defense systems kick in, they destroy the grill, and the really cool emblem, the saber-toothed tiger emblem, falls from the sky through the hole and lands right in front of Hunk. So yeah, that thing went vertical, literally. But yeah, and so then Pidge, I still use this term, and I realize that Voltron Force is not the most popular of the Voltron shows, but where Pidge is trying to, you know, comfort him and say, well, at least now we know our gristle defense system is working.
And we've used this on the podcast before, you know.
Yes, we have.
Gristle defense, gristle defense, gristle defense, gristle defense.
I was waiting for that, man.
Oh, thank you, Mel. Oh, that paid off. Yes, and they're sitting there doing the whole air guitar thing like you two were doing, and then in a stark contrast to his legendary defender self, the rather humorless Karan walks in, and with the Hungarian sample from the previous episode, and he stops, sees the two of them doing their thing, and then just says, "I'll come back."
And then we have the opening credits, right?
That's right. So then we launch into Act 1, and there's more action, more traditional action. We see the lions engaging their enemy, a roe beast. And Hunk is grumpy because he didn't get his barbecue.
Mhm.
And so then they form Voltron.
So I got a question. Did you get a sense like this was any kind of a test right at the beginning when you first saw this, or did you think this was real?
A test? Oh, you mean like a simulation?
Yeah. Did we feel like it was like a simulation, like they were just trying to get, out some of the I don't know. Do you think that this was something that they really just had set up as a test for themselves, or do you think this was actual stuff that was happening on Aris?
I can't be objective because I watched it 10 years ago, but what about you, Mel?
At first, I thought it was real, and then when the other two weren't there, I knew that it had to be some kind of simulation. And Hunk really wanted to hurry things up. So
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah. I kind of got a feeling that there was a little bit more relaxed atmosphere going on there, especially after what the cadets said,
That's true.
But
Yeah,
okay, we can move into it. Sorry.
Yeah, oh, no, not a problem. They form Voltron. They form Blazing Sword. They don't waste any time. It is fun that they land almost Neo Matrix style, where Voltron's got a fist in the ground, and they form the sword, and they begin fighting the roe beast, and they're having fun with this thing, kicking the robot around. The team feels all bonded and everything. And then Pidge says, "Hey, let's try reconfiguring," which is something that had happened just once in the prior episode when they formed Red Center, and they want they want Vince to try to get that feeling back, so they can try this again deliberately rather than by accident.
So this whole reconfigure thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're calling it, right?
Mhm.
According to this episode. So how do we launch into a reconfigure, would you think? What would we call that?
Reconfiguring,
Yeah, I got nothing.
recentering, finding your new center. I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously it all hinges on Vince, right?
Yes.
So in order for the reconfigure to work and to work on cue, Vince sort of has to have control of his power, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This sounds like a serious conversation.
I'm just saying from what we've learned already,
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So if Vince is able to truly control his power and they're able to reconfigure anytime they want,
Mm-hmm.
are we going to say form reconfigure? What are we? I mean, what's the words you want to say?
Well, we don't hear it in this episode. We'll hear it in subsequent episodes.
We hear it towards the end of this episode. We hear Keith say,
true. That's true. When they flip back. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So would they do that for the other lines or the other colors? You know what I mean?
Why not?
I don't know. I was just thinking, what would be the coolest lines to say when we talk about activate interlocks? Dynatherm's connected, infracells up, mega thrusters are go, and then we get into form feet and legs, form arms and body, and all this stuff, right?
Yes, all that. Yeah. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if you're already Voltron and you just want to switch to another lion being the head.
Oh, the center color. For red center.
That's
go.
what they
For
lined
blue
up.
center.
Oh, yes. But they haven't thought that through yet. Yes,
Right.
you're right. Right. Okay. So and in a later episode, they'll actually have Hunk say form Hunk head. It's a work in progress. But they try to do this thing, but they don't do maybe that's what they need to do, is say form something center. Maybe that's the whole key. But in any case, it doesn't work out. They're trying to just sit there and let Vince use his magical abilities. It doesn't quite work. The Roe Beast is blasting the daylights out of Voltron. He falls to the ground, and then we see, for real, this is not real. It's a simulation, and Allura is calling out to the cadets who are supposed to be monitoring everything from the control room, and they're not there.
Right. Where are they?
Out being mischievous.
What are they finding out in the desert?
The Wade drones?
What are we calling those?
So in the show, they've been called Wade droids. In the script, they're continually referred to as Wade bots, because I guess we have an earlier draft of the script.
But they still call them Wade droids.
Right, Wade droids. This script still refers to the arm gizmos that they wear as VOL comms, Vol comms, as opposed to Volt comms that we hear in the finished episodes. So another difference there. But yeah, so they're out there basically. These things are just kind of these bashed up Wade droids from the earlier episodes are still wandering around the planet, and they're just picking them off.
Yeah. So how many do they find?
I don't remember.
So it seems like it's a contest between Larmina and Daniel, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's always a contest between these two.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, they're all tied up. Allura breaks everything up and basically says, "Get back to the castle." So they do. And before they do, Larmina complains that she's tired of messing around with lions and vehicles. She just wants to use, hand-to-hand combat and personal weapons. That's right, Mel. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Good gestures there. So Allura is angry and basically tells them, you guys need to master all forms of combat. There's more to being a member of the Voltron Force than fighting a bunch of rat-like robots by hand. And then Hunk, yes, this is again another example of why I love Hunk so much. He says, or Keith says something like, "Before you make decisions that affect the team, you need to learn to be a team player." Hunk, I love these lines. Yeah, man, it's like you gotta be grooving with the whole band before you bust into your solo. So there you go. And Lance just sort of dismisses Hunk as like, "Yeah, nice try, big fella, but we're gonna talk for real here." And it's kind of a bummer. Hunk wanders off. He tries to see what Pidge is up to, and Pidge and Vince are continually trying to hack and fix up Vince's Voltcom, and then Hunk just sort of wanders off.
Right, because he's obviously not connecting with anybody.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Yeah, poor Hunk.
It is. He can't even talk to his grill or the ribs.
That's true, though.
Here's one interesting thing. They took out something from the script that I think may have shown why, the cadets may be acting the way they are.
Okay.
But I just want to read what they took out. Is that okay?
Sure.
Huh?
Well, before Allura notices that Hunk left, they're saying that she would have said, "All right, I think that's enough." And then everybody stops, picking on the cadets. And she says, "Things have been getting complicated and out of control between Lotor's return, Wade's alliance takeover, and the threat of Hegarium. We have many dangers to face, but we will never be able to do that until we slow down and allow ourselves time to understand the emerging Voltron powers and how to work together as a reliable team." So why do you think they took that out?
Because it's wordy.
Because it took too long and it took up time that they could cut out.
Yeah, it's chatter. I mean,
yeah,
it's a useful recap. It kind of restates where things are, but it's not really necessary.
And this is a Y7 show. Don't forget.
Oh yeah.
Although Legendary Defender was also Y7, wasn't it?
Well, let's
So here's Voltron Force Y7, and here's Voltron Legendary Defender Y7.
yeah.
Well,
Yes.
That's kind of like a superpowered grill versus, just today's standard grill. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
But I'm saying they probably wanted to pack this one with all the action and music and
Yes.
excitement and all that kind of stuff and
Yeah.
take away some of the dialogue.
Yeah, and I would say that although the shows had the same ratings, I think it's pretty clear if you're watching both of these programs that they had different target demographics.
Mhm.
I mean, Voltron Force definitely caters to the younger end of TV Y7. Legendary Defender to the older level of TV Y7.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
So, yeah. So thanks what were you going to say, Mark?
Well, I was just going to say, so the next scene, really shows, okay, what would a bunch of teenagers want to complain about? and Larmina, of course, says, sometimes my aunt can be so annoying.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, if you're hearing this on the podcast, you did not see Mark's amazing facial expression there. Yeah. And so, and then Daniel complains about, why are Lance and Keith lecturing him about teamwork when they're always arguing. And then Larmina says, well, we got the secret place here, the lair, to complain about them. And Daniel says, yeah, this place ought to be something better than a wine hole.
By the way, I just wanted to mention, the last time the first time that we saw the opening for the lair, right? And they left the logo of the lair just sitting on the rubble. And I had mentioned that, when do we go back to the lair? Well, we go back to the lair right in the Hunkyard, right?
Yes, we joked that it wasn't for a long time, but
right,
they do go back here. And
they
then
do
we
go
don't
back
see
in
it.
this. But then it's a while after that. So I just still think, if they had built upon even this episode after what happened in this episode, I think the lair could have been something cool.
That's true.
I just really think they should have built on it.
Although I think hanging out in a rubble-filled room below a castle is pretty darn awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I would have loved it, no matter what I did in there.
Well, just some place to call your own that's sort of secret away from everybody else and the grown-ups.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I still sometimes want to hide from the grown-ups. How about you two?
Yes.
It's like a treehouse. You go to the treehouse to avoid all the adult stuff.
That's right. And so in their treehouse, Vince talks about trying to figure out his powers, and he feels, that he's let down the team, and Daniel is jealous, and Larmina calls him on it. And, then Vince talks about how his power chose him. He didn't choose it. And then Larmina cuts on Vince for sounding like her Aunt Allura. And
how is Allura her aunt again?
Do I have to look that up again? So Mel, as a recap, when Mark and I reviewed the pilot episode, there was a ton of stuff that was the 3-episode joined together, kind of like Legendary Defender, the premiere. A ton of material was cut from that episode, and they never did talk about where how Larmina and Allura exactly were related and all that other junk, because in the original show it seemed that Allura was an only child. And so I dug up from this book that Mark co-wrote from Days of Long Ago, Voltron from Days of Long Ago, 30th anniversary celebration. Sorry, ran out of breath.
Which we've been seeing on eBay a lot lately.
Yes. But anyway, there's a whole thing talking about this brother who was older than her and who had left and then came back and married this mysterious lady who then vanished right after giving birth.
Wow.
And then he died somehow. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's like, okay. How about she's just Larmina's aunt? Yeah.
Or they could have, brought her in from, some kind of shelter on Eris or something like that. And she just sort of got that moniker of aunt as a means of respect, like you're really part of the family, but I'm not your mother or, anything like that. But why don't you call me aunt?
And frankly, I think that would have been a more interesting backstory,
Yeah.
especially if they touched on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Instead of, and then the old school fans going, what?
Yeah.
But anyway, so now we're back to the hangar, and Allura notices that Hunk isn't feeling so well. He's playing with his guitar and strumming it sadly.
And I remember the first time I saw this episode, I was like, wow, they got a real guitar in this stuff?
Yeah. I love the music. All
Yeah.
the little bits that we get.
Well, I'm thinking about all the holographic stuff they have and everything, and how they might have more modern instruments and things like that. But to have a real guitar, that was just, wow, that really brought it home.
And it looked ordinary, which was
Yeah.
really nice. I remember when I used to watch, back when Star Trek: The Next Generation was first on the air, and they would show somebody shaving or a hairbrush, and they would always stick a little decal on it or something to make it look spacey. Even if it was, picked up at the local Big Lots, they'd slap something on it, maybe paint it silver or something. But here it's an ordinary rock guitar, and it's awesome.
A Stratocaster.
Or a Stratofighter. Oh, sorry. Vehicle Voltron. Okay, so basically Hunk is sad that he's not bonding with anybody, any of the cadets. And so Allura suggests, why don't you teach a class tomorrow? Teach the cadets class. And he's like, teach, huh? I could do that.
And his expression changed when the scene changes.
Yeah. And I love Hunk's visual design in this show. He's got he's got that lower jaw, which is reflected in Yellow Lion. I mean, I love how they did that. But yeah.
Yes, he's very nice. He's actually on the wall, shirtless.
There he is.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Yeah, I hadn't paid attention to the details because they're kind of small, but there's Hunk.
That was when they were on the beach at the beginning of the Sven episode.
Yeah, and so eventually we'll review the Voltron Force comics by Viz Media, but in one of them, I recently reread all 6 of them, and in one of them, Hunk has this sandwich. I don't remember the ingredients, but it's really nasty, and he calls it the Chunky Hunky. So I just thought
that was something we had when we did the interviews with Brian Smith. Yeah, we had talked about the Chunky Hunky on the podcast.
That's right. So good stuff. Yeah, so the next day we're in the classroom, and basically the cadets are arguing among themselves. Hunk cannot get their attention, despite his amazing attempts to say things like teamwork, unity, and power of the lions. It just doesn't quite work until Hunk says, all right, can it? We're going to go on a field trip. And
I like field trips.
So Mel, what was your favorite field trip?
I don't have one. I think a lot of space museums in the past.
Well, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite though. I like them all.
Yeah. No standouts at all, or
we had field trips like Gettysburg, the Franklin Institute, Washington, D.C., those types of things.
I remember DC being an option. I did not wind up going with the school, but I did visit DC, and fun stuff. But my favorite field trip, as I recall, was going to Ohio Caverns. I know that neither of you are Ohioans, but the Ohio Caverns was really, really fun to go down with the class and see all the stalactites and stalagmites and all that great stuff. So yeah,
we had 2 close ones. We had Lost River Caverns and we had Crystal Cave.
Oh wow!
Ooh, I gotta try one of those, or a bunch of those. Definitely. I'm ready to go.
Field trip.
Okay.
All right. So, but for now, we're with the cadets on their field trip, and we find this canyon, this desert canyon. It's filled with a bunch of just scrap parts and junk. Okay. And Larmina has no idea where they are, even though she's lived on Eris all her life. And Hunk says it's a secret little place I like to call the Hunkyard. And and he's looking around, talking about this. He hadn't been there in forever. It's his galactic scrap collection. Vince and Daniel are loving it. Larmina is less thrilled and says, "What are we doing in your Hunkyard with your trash?"
Scrap. Call it scrap.
That's right.
And we're going to do what I used to do when I was full of youthful rage. Build stuff and then break it.
Oh my God, yeah.
And Daniel, go on.
So did either of you build stuff and then break it?
Oh, yeah. All the time. Lincoln Logs, Legos, anything and everything. You know, even those racetrack things that you used to build up to try to get cars to race all over the place.
Oh, those
all your
orange
Matchbox
pieces
and
of
Hot Wheels
track.
cars.
Uh,
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. How about you, Mel?
Yeah, like the Legos, Lincoln Logs, and the little cars that you would build in tech ed, or I don't know, that was a long time ago, where you put like the little capsule in, the air capsule or something.
I vaguely remember those. They sound really cool though. And now I feel like I need to look them up and play with some. Yeah, I remember in high school I had to make a video about some or play or whatever about some classic novel. And for the novel, I wound up making a Lincoln Log Cabin and made it a spoof. So it started out straight from The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but there's this cabin in the background, and I had rigged an interior structure with the Lincoln Logs with these logs sticking out the back of the cabin. And so on cue, behind the camera, and my hand came down, hit those levers, and the whole cabin just blew up on camera. It was glorious. But anyway, yeah. So Hunk says, we're going to make some crush cars. We're going to make stuff that call out to your inner demolition derby racer. They're going to make crush cars. And Daniel and Vince, once again, are thrilled. Larmina, not so much. And so they start finding parts and begin building them. And again, Larmina's not so thrilled. But
I like how Hunk uses Yellow Lion as like the thing that picks these things up and then puts them down so that they can start working on them.
Was it Christine Bean when we had her on the podcast for Legendary Defender? She talked about how each of the lions from that show had been inspired by a vehicle or something. And the yellow lions, I think, had been a truck, like a pickup truck or something.
Like a construction vehicle.
Yes, that's what it was. So yeah, it's nice that they thought of that even in this show. So yeah. So Act 1 wraps up with the cadets finding parts. Hunk is thrilled that there's some bonding going on, but they are not alone in the Hunkyard. They're being watched by some Wade droids.
So there's more. So
Yes.
so Larmina and Daniel didn't get them all.
What's with that?
You know, those Wade droids are hanging around like hemorrhoids.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Well, you went there.
You know, a lot of times I'll take a joke too far, and this time I thought it's already there. Great job, Mark.
Yeah.
So now we're back at the second act has begun. We're back from commercials from 2011, and we're back in the castle control room. Karan and Pidge are looking at Hagarium. Pidge is now he's planning to scan this thing so that the castle can detect it remotely. And Karan, ever humorless, says, "Well, in these times, Hagarium detection is a great start." So there we go. There was some other dialogue that was cut from the scene, I think.
Yeah, it's again, I think it's just because they want to cut out dialogue and keep in the action and make it more exciting for the kids, because I mean, the background on this, there's a little bit there that we learn about Karan. So I want to read this. All right.
Yeah.
Karan says, and hopefully find a way to neutralize it. I'm truly impressed, Pidge. This is quite a sophisticated program you've written. It's comforting to know the Castle of Lions defense systems are in such capable hands. And Pidge says, thanks, Karan. That means a lot coming from the man who formerly held the post. I only hope I can keep the castle safe for as long as you did. So you know, we find out that Karan used to be in charge of the castle defense systems.
Oh, wow.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yes, and that's it for the scene there. We're back to the Hunkyard, and Daniel has built a bike, a motorcycle thing, and he's zipping around, and Hunk questions whether that thing is ready to use. Daniel says yes, but then a wheel falls off, and yeah, not so good.
Have you seen The Dark Knight?
I have. How about
Okay,
you, Mel?
so
Which one?
so the one with Christian Bale,
Well, he was in both The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Returns.
right? But the Dark Knight with Catwoman, where she
So Dark
actually,
Knight Returns.
yeah, so she actually gets to ride the bike, okay, and she gets to drive the bike. So the bike from that reminded me of this bike.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I actually haven't seen The Dark Knight Returns, so
Okay.
I missed out. But yes, so she rides a bike. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And so does Daniel. And yeah, so this bike doesn't work so well for Daniel. And so now it's time for some bonding here. Hunk reveals something about his past that is kind of cool. What's that?
Well, he used to be on the pit crew of a crush car team, right?
I think that is so awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so earthy, you know what I mean? It's not, well, I flew on this secret mission to this abandoned colony where these little green whatever. It's grounded, literally. It's awesome.
And he was a crush car racer, so he was both on the pit crew and a racer, and he turns out he said he was one of the best.
Yep. And his crush car is out in the open, in the Hunkyard, on display, not used or seen in several years, but there it is in the clear, and it's beautiful.
The one
Very
that
yellow.
the one that Vince ends up building here reminds me of a lot of Hunk's old one.
Yeah.
They kind of
so.
look similar, I think.
Yeah. I actually really like Vince's design. It's got these giant tank treads and this center column with this swinging turret. I love how unbalanced it looks. I mean, there's just something about the fact that, you know, Daniel's zipping around on this sleek bike, and Larmina's as awkward as it is, as we'll get to it. It's got all these crazy arms. It's almost spider-like. But Vince's looks like, you know, if someone sneezed in the wrong direction, it would fall over, and yet it never does. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's all. So yeah, and basically Hunk talks about how he probably wouldn't have made it that far as a racer if he hadn't worked in the pit crew first, to rely on his teammates, and it helped him become a team player. And he's just saying it off the cuff, you know, talking about his time as being in a pit crew. And Daniel thinks that Hunk is trying to give him an example about how to be a better team player, and Hunk's like, huh, what?
Yeah.
I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
I'm tightening this bolt.
Oh man, they tighten that bolt forever.
They do. It's like, yeah, they would have been, yeah, if he was really in a pit crew, he'd have been done by now with all of it. But no, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's a cool scene.
So he thanks Hunk for putting everything into perspective.
Yes. Now, this is my one gripe with this episode. I really love this episode, but I dislike that they didn't show a similar scene with Hunk and Vince. Vince to me is an awesome character, and I think that interaction would have been amazing. And they, even in the script, he goes off and he's about to see Vince, and then we go back to we see him leaving, and Vince is all, wow, thanks, I never would have thought of that. What was that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we were hoping Vince would get a similar type of thing where he might learn a little bit more about teamwork as well.
His self-doubt, which he has with all these powers, and feeling like he's let the team down when he hasn't. He's saved their bacon multiple times already by this point in the show.
Right.
So yeah, Hunk walks off. Cadet number 2, check. Whatever he did, I'm sure it was wonderful because he's Hunk. And then he goes up to Larmina, and Larmina is what's she doing?
Listening to music.
Well, like you had said, Larmina gets a good amount of time with Hunk. Daniel gets a good amount of time with Hunk. Why does Vince get discounted? That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, the only thing I could figure is that maybe they thought, well, Vince had his screen time earlier when he was doing his powers, and we kind of got into his head a little bit in the lair with, he feels like he let the. I don't know. It is in my mind, with all the dialogue they had already trimmed, I feel like they could have trimmed a little more here and there and given Vince his moment, because he totally deserves it.
Yeah, I wonder what it's like in the writer's room for those types of things.
That's a good question.
Yeah, why are we just all of a sudden, he goes over to help Vince, and then all of a sudden he's walking away from Vince? Like, what happened?
Yeah, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As far as what goes on in the writer's room, I do recommend, if you've ever seen on Disney Channel, there's a cartoon that my kid loves called Big City Greens. There's an episode where they visit an animation studio and watch a cartoon being made. This show is like crazy, clever satire, slap happy, but very family friendly. And they're basically spoofing themselves. The people who make this cartoon are spoofing themselves. But anyway, it's actually hilarious. It's the way that they play it. They even poke fun at the Disney executives for, watching them like a hawk to make sure they do this show perfectly. Anyway, check it out. The writing room is really cool. They all are. But anyway, so Hunk basically notices that he likes the music that Larmina's listening to. This is after, Larmina's complaining about, stupid vehicles and all that. It's almost like she doesn't realize that Voltron Force involves this thing called Voltron, which is made of these things called lions. But anyway,
Vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, they're not bonding yet. I guess I jumped the gun about him recognizing the music there. So we're back to the control room, and Allura wonders, where are the cadets? And Pidge says, they have a joke at Hunk's expense here, which is kind of fun. And what goes on here?
So you got to love that the big guy thinks a pile of scrap that huge wouldn't be picked up on our sensors.
Mm-hmm.
And the script says...
The part that they took out was the part that says that he helped build.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I wish that they'd kept that.
Yeah.
Because and one of my pet peeves about Voltron: The Third Dimension is that Hunk is often depicted as being, I don't want to use the word dumb, but definitely not. He hangs out with Pidge all the time. They even make it the plot of one of the episodes where Hunk feels really bad that he's being called dumb. And it really bothers me about that show, as much as I like the show in general. Here, I do think that the joke at his expense would have had a little bit more redemption for Hunk by the fact that he had actually built the sensors or helped with that. But anyway.
The guy's basically a mechanical engineer. You know what I mean? He's just amazing. He's a mechanical genius. And they took that to the next level in Voltron Legendary Defender. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So when you saw Pidge and Hunk together in that one, it was always, wow, these guys are really smart together, but one's scientist smart and one's mechanical smart. You know what I mean?
Fraunhofer line.
Team Punk.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but in this one, there's a little bit of separation between Pidge and Hunk. You don't always see them together. You see more of Vince and Pidge together.
Yeah.
Doing the scientific stuff.
Yeah, they're definitely more alike than Hunk and Pidge are. But Hunk and Pidge do have their moments throughout the show. In the first episode, in the den, that secret hideout they had, and then here, they're still buddies. The whole Gristle defense thing, but yeah, they're not quite as close as certainly not as that Pidge and Vince are.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, we go back to the Hunkyard. It's now dusk. They've been there a long time, and then I guess either Hunk was just waiting around for hours and then decides to say something more to Larmina, or else he's walked off and then come back, but he's basically trying to say, hey, come on, this is a secret place, my secret place, come on, this is worth the bonding over, right? And she's just not happy. But basically Hunk is trying to another angle. She says, that music sounds really great. Is that stereolactic? And is it?
No, it's not stereolactic. It's something she wrote herself, but it was based on stereolactic.
Yep.
Which is
she was influenced by stereolactic. And then of course he says, wow, you wrote this? Do you want to hear something I wrote? And she goes, sure. And then all of a sudden, Yellow Lion out the sides of its mouth gets these huge speakers.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know it. Yellow Lion had a built-in sound system.
Oh yeah. And what does that sound like when you're inside the lion? I wonder.
So he's pounding out the bass on his, and she's drumming along to it. And he says, so are we bonding now? And she goes, oh yes.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And I love that we actually we established that these two have more hobbies. I love the little peaks that you get, beyond, Larmina, you think, oh, she's tough. She can, take out scores of drools and robots and all this. And she's kind of got this attitude, but it's cool that she not only digs rock music, but writes it. So
Yeah,
her.
That'll come into play in a future episode.
Yes, as will stereolactic.
That's right.
That's right. So, yes, we're now it's nighttime, and Daniel and Vince and Larmina, they have their vehicles finished, and they're beginning to fight each other.
This is where it gets really fun.
This is where it gets fun. Lots of cool action. Yeah, but what's cool is that they each show up in their vehicles, and this is where I had jumped the gun earlier and described the vehicles a bit more. Larmina shows off her set of wheels and arms and all this stuff, and it's fun that she has this vehicle that is perfect for her.
Yes, free range, man.
Yeah, so she's
in range.
Yeah, so she's standing on this platform and has all these bands, I guess you could say, with her arms and legs, and they're connected to some kind of a mechanism that causes the arms, these tentacle-like or spider-like legs, or whatever you want to call them, and wheels it's almost like she's manipulating it like a puppet, which is really neat. So there we go.
Yep.
And we note, she says that her distaste of vehicles was caused by the confinement of the cockpits. It's kind of sad. I really wish that they had done something in the cockpit of Blue Lion later in the show when she does her, what does she call it? Butt kick boost.
Oh yeah.
Later in the show. That would have been really neat. But anyway, so now Hunk says, all right, give me your Volt comms. It's time to get this on. And so they're about to have this competition. The only rules are there are no rules except don't kill each other.
And he actually used the word kill. Okay. But I happen to notice when they said it, it's like, don't kill each other. It's like they really de-emphasized the word kill.
Yes.
And kind of quickly glanced over it.
Yeah, there have been earlier examples in the show, Mel, where they've deliberately, in our script we see the word kill, and they take it out and put in something like end, or
yeah. I heard you say that.
Yeah, like in older cartoons, you will meet your doom.
Right.
But,
yeah. Destroy.
So one of the rare times they use the word kill.
Yep. So woohoo, very edgy. Yeah, so they start fighting, and there's fun stuff going on. And Hunk gets in the Yellow Lion, planning to be a referee. And then something happens to the Yellow Lion. What's that?
All of a sudden he kind of shuts down.
Yeah, that's not good.
You know how cats just sort of like sit down and put their paws out?
Yeah.
That's what Yellow Lion was doing.
And I love that Hunk is talking to Yellow Lion before this happens. And he says, I hope you're up for some serious refereeing, old Yellow. And then the lion shuts down and goes, oh, this isn't because I called you old, is it?
That's so cute.
He says, you don't act up like this unless someone's using Hegarium on us. And then he realizes that he's being surrounded by the Wade droids.
Dun, dun, dun.
There you go. You did that much better than I could, Mel. Yeah. So yeah, Hunk is Yellow Lion is powered down, and a bunch of Wade droids are approaching.
And that's where they go to commercial because it's foreboding. They're going to be in a tight spot.
That's right. They might meet their doom.
Right.
So now we're back. This is Act 3, the third and final act. We're back in the Hunkyard. The cadets are still doing their thing. Then they start to notice something.
Daniel was heading towards a pile of scrap, but there are a ton of Wade droids pouring over it in the clearing, giving the impression of a wave. You see Daniel kicking some of them around with his back wheel, which is basically all he can do. He can either run into them or he can, spin out and knock them down.
Yeah. So that's what happens. And yes, they begin to realize it's not just a bunch of Wade droids, but they seem to be powered by Hegarium. And what's very interesting is that Vince is the one that reveals this. The script has him saying, and it looks like somehow they're being powered by Hegarium, and then it says something about him being sarcastic, which is so awesome, with sarcasm. But in the episode, they leave out the sarcasm and just make it bloody obvious. He says, which is so not awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was a good idea. So then they start fighting these things. And Daniel says, let's kick some. And then Hunk shows up in his crush car and says, bot. And then starts,
Yeah, so since Yellow Lion wasn't working,
mm-hmm.
so he switched vehicles, right?
Yep.
And this was something that Daniel had said earlier in the episode. He said, you realize the problem here. There's 8 of us, and there's only 5 lions, right?
Yep.
And we need some vehicles of our own. So even when Hunk had a vehicle and it got shut down, he still had another one.
Mm-hmm.
So way to go, Hunk, right?
Yeah, that's because Hunk is awesome.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is they could learn something from Hunk. He doesn't let it, get him down. He gets out of the big lion, which would have been a super powerful vehicle, and he gets into this smaller one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Back up.
Yeah. And he's still kicking butt.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he is. So his vehicle has a hammer. And what's fun about this is that there's a theme here, because he seemingly had this since he was very young, before he joined the Voltron Force. And now that he's in the Voltron Force, his Voltcom weapon is a hammer. And his lion's tail upgrade in the earlier episode was a demolition tail, which was a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's hammer time.
that's right.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, now it's stuck in my head.
Oh, that's the wrong song. Oops.
Now, I was thinking. Anyway, all right, enough of that. But
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to hear me sing. Anyway, so
Aww.
so there's more fighting going on. It's really awesome. And Vince says, "Hey, if you called the base, to get reinforcements." And Hunk says, "No, why share the fun? This is our day to bond, and I ain't sharing," which is really cool.
Yeah.
This is Wade droids coming into his house. All right. The Hunkyard is his.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Don't mess with Hunk in my own house.
That's right. So yeah, Hunk is beating the living daylights out of these Wade droids. The cadets are kind of like, whoa. Vince says he's lost it. Daniel says he's nuts. And Larmina has this almost dreamy look in her eyes and says, he's rad. Which is the closest thing we ever see her to being infatuated with anybody.
Yeah.
Throughout the show and in the comics. So there you go. And they keep on fighting, and that's the end of the scene. We go back to the castle, and it's once again Allura. Where are those kids?
Mm-hmm. She's the concerned parent.
Yes, that's right. And again, Pidge says, well, they're still just having fun. That scene ends. And then that was short. We get back to, which is good because this is more fun. We're back at the Hunkyard. These 3 vehicles are kicking butt and taking names. And Hunk and Larmina. So Larmina shows up and she's, using her awesome machine and, swatting all these droids around. Then Hunk comes along with his hammer, holds it straight up, and drives past Larmina's vehicle.
And they do a high five.
Yeah. Which is my favorite moment in the whole episode.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I almost thought of it as like a fist bump,
Right.
But it was just so cool. He raises the hammer. One of her vehicle's tire arms comes up, and it's just beautiful.
It was awesome.
Yes. Yeah, then things begin to get a little worse. I mean, they're fighting these droids, but the droids just keep coming and in greater numbers. A couple droids jump on Daniel's vehicle, and it starts to fizzle, which is a little weird because, as far as we know, this thing is powered by gasoline, right? But the Hagarium is somehow infecting this, even though it's only supposed to be the antimatter to Voltron's power. So I'm not really sure why the Hagarium would affect this thing, unless it's Voltcom powered, who knows. But in any case, this is how he realizes that these things might be powered by Hagarium. And so the vehicles get stuck together, which is kind of embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Although it does foreshadow when they deliberately get stuck together later, their replacements in a later episode.
And they're all getting swarmed by more of the Wade droids at this point.
Yeah. Did anybody think Starship Troopers during this scene?
It wasn't like spiders coming after him. It's Wade droids, okay?
Yeah. But I mean, like in the wide shots, especially when you see the yellow lion and all these they're almost like ants beginning to crawl onto the lion. I had a little bit of a Starship Troopers vibe there. But
yeah, don't forget, Larmina in regular hand-to-hand combat took out a whole room of these things at one point in a previous episode.
So Mel, do you think she would have been more or less effective if she just gotten out of her vehicle, especially once they got stuck?
Definitely out for a little while.
Yeah,
I was hoping that would happen.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Hardcore it would have been.
Yeah. So anyway, they can't get their vehicles apart, and maybe Larmina couldn't get all those weird straps off of her arms and legs so she could get out of the thing in time to use her Volt. Well, she didn't even have her Voltcom. That's right. Hunk took them. Hunk, how dare you? Yeah.
Plots.
Yes. And so they go back to the Yellow Lion, and
the Wade droids start forming a huge scrap beast.
Yes, I like the gestures there, Mel. All right, so they're starting to combine these crazy Wade droids. Now we're back to the castle control room, and finally Allura got bored and left the room, and it's Pidge and Karan again. Karan, the humorless man.
Sorry, that was perfect.
That's right. Anyway, so I love Pidge here. Ha ha, bingo, got your signature, Hagarium. He's talking to this thing in a vial. And then Karan's classic line, "Well done, Pidge. Let's upload it to the detection system. We can test your work by running a diagnostic on the Erusian surface. Perhaps there are trace amounts of fallout from your previous battles against this dark power."
There aren't just trace amounts.
No. And it's not just dark, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So as soon as he turns it on, he finds something odd.
Yes, there are tons of, I like how he says massive traces.
Massive.
It's like, isn't a trace a small amount?
Yup.
I mean, he couldn't have said ton of it, because that wouldn't have worked with the rating of the show. But it would have been funny, though.
So when you say massive trace, that's sort of an oxymoron, right?
Yes, it's like I'm trying to think of a better example, but another example, but I'm drawing a blank.
It's like a large little.
Yes, yes, that's right. That sounds good. Massive traces of Hagarium on the surface, located in. Oh no!
Oh no!
The Hunkyard.
The Hunkyard. It wasn't foreshadowed or anything.
The Hunkyard has just become the feasting grounds for the blob,
Yes.
Ooh,
the big Hegarium blob.
Yes.
that wording.
That's right. So we're back at the Hunkyard. Vince and Daniel have their bonding moment. Daniel apologizes for having been jealous of Vince's role on the team and all that great stuff. And then Larmina says, "Save your man hugs for later, scrap monster." And so they're in Yellow Lion. Vince uses his abilities and gives Yellow Lion some power again. The scrap beast is there. Now, here's another thing, and this is one of those deals where, this is because, the budget of the show is not infinite. These little scrap beasts combine into a big scrap beast, but it really, even despite that, they basically took the 3D CGI model of the Wade droid and just made it bigger. And then they used texturing to kind of imply that it's kind of a mishmash. But it doesn't really look like a mishmash. It does really look like what it is, which is a really big Wade droid. It would have been kind of neat if they'd sprinkled some actual little Wade droids on the surface here and there to kind of suggest that it was made from them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway. So yes, they fight.
We actually saw a similar thing happen in the movie Batman Ninja.
I have not seen that. Have you, Mel?
There was like a whole bunch of things that came together, and I think these were monkeys.
Okay.
And it was like a whole bunch of monkeys that came together and into a giant monster, and then all of a sudden it made it look like it was real and not just a bunch of monkeys linked together. It completely changed. Like, how do all those monkeys suddenly look like a real monster now?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I can just imagine now. Everyone flatten.
Right.
And then they do.
A lot like a Castlevania monster, but it's a lot of bodies piled onto each other, and they're falling off when you fight the monster, and it's really gruesome. I won't get into too much detail, but yeah.
But it at least looks like a collection of something, right?
Yes, definitely, absolutely.
That's good. I think they tried with making the texture look kind of, I don't know if the word's modeled, but like a patchwork kind of a thing, almost like a mosaic. But it doesn't quite work here. But in any case, they're about to. Vince says, "Hey, you want to call this in now?" And then who saves the day? Pidge says, "No need. The rest of the Lions have shown up."
And Hunk's like, "Well, how did you?" And he goes, "Hey, I'm a genius, remember?"
And I love that Hunk says Pidgey. The script says Pidgeette.
Yeah.
But he says Pidgey.
Hunk would never say Pidgeette.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Pidgeette? What?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't get it. It makes no sense. Yeah.
Over my
Pidgey
head.
sounds cool. And in Third Dimension, Hunk would often say, Pidge buddy. Pidge buddy? Come on. It was cute, but kind of, yeah. Anyway, so, and I love this bit here. Lance doesn't say a lot in this whole episode.
No.
He's and Lance is one of the more loquacious members of the Voltron. And he says, "What is that thing?" And then Hunk, "It's my stuff, but it's evil now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That impression for the win.
And then Keith, who might score pretty high up there with Karan, at least in this episode, in terms of sense of humor. What is his response? "Well, what do you say you come up here and we form our mighty friend?" I mean, that could have been a better line.
It could have. Yeah.
Yeah. So he just solidifies the fact that he's like Space Dad. He's the dad of the group, and dads don't have cool lines.
Yes, they do. Dads are awesome.
Yeah, Shiro does get some pretty good lines. Keith gets some on occasion, some good lines in this show, but he really is the scrupulous, play it by the book leader in this show.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah. So anyway, they form.
So for the second time in an episode,
Oh!
twice in one episode, we formed Voltron.
Yes, mind
Wow.
blowing. Yes. Well, they
2 times for the price of 1.
I know, it's amazing. Buy one formation sequence, get one free. But they start to form Voltron anyway, and then
Keith at one point says, "Wait."
yeah, form arms and wait. What were they going to do? I mean, let's just think this through. Each of them is sitting in their own lion. And I have to wonder what that experience is like under a normal circumstance anyway, especially in Legendary Defender, where it's like in the blink of an eye, they unite. I mean, the whole deal where you see them convert is, I'm assuming, just for the audience's benefit, because a lot of times in the later episodes in particular, like, and they just combine like that,
Right.
you know, and they certainly separate quickly. So I always had the impression that the whole reason they didn't do form, feet, and legs, blah, 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 is because it gets done very quickly.
Yeah.
It just, when they slow it down, $6 million man style. But in this show, they're going through the motions, and imagine your lions are facing in different ways, and I maybe they're looking at their monitors to see everything hook up, but form, arms, and wait.
So they're all just going in their normal way, and then all of a sudden, whoa!
You win.
But who goes towards the center?
Hunky-Poo.
Of course it's yellow. So while this is happening, though, Pidge is, trying to figure out what this means, right? That these transformations must somehow be programmed into Voltron's core and secretly locked within. And then Allura says, and Vince is the key. Well, thanks for joining the rest of us, Captain Obvious.
Yes, that's right. But I love the payoff. All this programmed into the core, and pitches. The implications of this are, and then my second favorite line from Hunk in this episode. Yeah, programs, core implications. Who cares? What's my weapon?
What's my weapon?
Nothing.
What do I get? What do I get? What do I get?
He's great.
It's like a kid on Christmas Day.
It is.
Yep.
And you gotta, this is the whole thing where, where Hunk in Legendary Defender, I'm a leg, but in this show, he very well knows that he's the leg. I mean, he's always been the leg. They're an experienced team. They've been doing this for years. Not anymore. He's now the head. So
he never even had any aspirations to be the head in this show.
Right. And so now he is, and he's happy.
and what does he get?
He gets wrecking balls. Oh, wait, not wrecking balls, wrecking maces.
Now, here's the thing. If you didn't have a visual and you're reading the script, I have wrecking balls.
Oh, Mark.
Oh dear. Well, he deserves it, darn it.
But make that wrecking maces, okay?
Well, here's the thing, Mark. If you want to go there, if you really want to go there, after he says, "Oh yes, I have wrecking balls," in the script out of context, the next line in the script, not dialogue, but the exposition says, "Suddenly, spikes pop out of the balls."
The pain.
There we go.
Oh, maybe he'd like it. I don't know.
That's right. So,
I'm not hating it.
That's right. Anyway.
My balls. Oh, my balls.
Dude. TVY7, come on. But yeah, so in the show where there is actual visual context, Voltron's arms are at its sides, and a yellow-colored sphere on a chain pops out of Red Lion's mouth and Green Lion's mouth, Voltron's hands. That's where the wrecking balls are.
Right. They're coming out of the hands.
That's right. And then spikes pop out. So yes, a very different tone. And
it's a good thing we have that visual.
Yes. Maybe we should cut in a clip of that in this YouTube video. But anyway, yeah, so he has wrecking maces, and it's really awesome. And Hunk is having a party with this. He's swinging the things around, knocking stuff off the scrap beast. Told you we'd be breaking stuff. And then there's a good line there. Hey Daniel, now this is how you play your solo. And the script says this doesn't happen in the episode, but the script says Voltron holds its arms like it's about to play air guitar, which would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Then swings one arm around doing the Pete Townsend windmill, and then wailing the scrap beast and knocking bits off of it. So,
oh man, I want that in the show.
Yeah, I mean, especially after air guitar was established in the teaser with Pidge and Hunk.
So Pete Townsend from The Who, okay, used to take his strap on his guitar and just twirl it around over his head and then slam that guitar down.
Yeah, we sort of had that. We sort of had that here, but we certainly didn't have the air guitar, which is a letdown.
And then of course Dad says, "You got that out of your system?"
Oh man, but he's so hot.
Yeah.
I'm the only one with that.
And Hunk says, "I'll never have that out of my system."
Yeah.
You can't hurt me, Dad.
Oh my gosh.
And then the mace, one of the wrecking maces hits the wall, the canyon. Some rocks fall on the scrap beast, and then Hunk says, "But I'm good for now." There we go.
Well, this was sort of a surprise thing that happened next, because I wasn't realizing that even after they had covered all that junk with rocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then Pidge says, "Spectacular, let's neutralize this thing." So I didn't know that was a step you had to do now with the Hegarium laden stuff that they had already destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Because just thinking back when they fought the spider robeast, the lighter, they used the blazing sword, jabbed the thing, and then they fought the Hegarium supercharged Lotor, and the magma pistol took him out, but it was Lotor, and they brought him back to life.
Right.
Here, yeah, was this the first Hegarium powered robeast that they fought?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess they think that's a thing. So, okay.
So they had to neutralize it. So Voltron leaps up into the air. The wrecking maces retract as Voltron's going up.
Well,
Now,
that's in the script.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing, I'm just not sure how they knew this, but all of a sudden Keith says, "Form black center," and then form blazing sword. And then they just stab the thing with it and it neutralizes it for some reason.
Yeah. So there you go.
I don't know.
I do kind of wish that they had not had that happen, because it gives each of the weapons its own thing, but
Right. Why couldn't Hunk, as the yellow center, take the thing out? Why does it have to be blazing sword with black center?
Because
yeah,
they have
this
to
is
have
Hunk's episode.
Yeah.
I think it's because they need Keith to say a really cool line like "form blazing sword."
Okay.
The eye roll. Oh my gosh, incredible.
That's right. So yeah.
So at the end of all this, Hunk says, "Hey guys, how was that for a bonding day?"
And they're the cadets behind him in the back seat. Must be a sofa back there. They're huddled together, and Hunk's like, "Oh no, are they keeping me out of this? Whatever it is." And Daniel says, "Hey Hunk, can you keep a secret?"
Mm-hmm.
And he smiles. And so we fade to the lair. There is a whole scene that you might want to touch on, Mark, but the script has an additional bit here that is cut. But what happens in the episode is we dissolve to the lair, and we have a voiceover from Daniel. "We've also got a secret place, the lair, and we could use your help in making something awesome."
Yeah.
And you see this blueprint on a table, and it's kind of vague what it is, but it's undoubtedly going to be awesome.
So what you're thinking at the result of seeing those, they almost had like blueprints that they were showing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you think that this lair is going to be some really cool hideout, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be like a bat cave.
Yeah. Does it ever happen? No.
Holy disappointment. Yeah, but so yeah, and that's the end of the episode. You know, we see the blueprints and something's going to happen. The script points out explicitly that Hunk and the cadets are looking at schematics similar to those of the vehicles they were driving, but that's not at all obvious looking at the schematic in the episode. It's just some thing, a bunch of lines arranged into some kind of a form that is abstract, and we don't know what it is. And so what was the scene or the blurb that got cut from the script? Didn't make it in between when Daniel says, "Can you keep a secret?" and the lair. What happened?
Right. So we're on Hunk's smiling face in the castle hangar, right?
Mm-hmm.
His head is bobbing to Larmina's music. This is Larmina's music that he's listening to. And then they widen it to reveal he's behind a reasonably sized barbecue cooking real burgers, right? And he looks out with the scene before him and he's smiling with pride. And then the music drowns out the dialogue. We pan across. Larmina speaks excitedly to Allura, pantomiming her gyro steering. And then Daniel slams his hands together with interlocking fingers as he talks to a smiling Keith and Lance, who ruffles Daniel's hair. And then the third part of this is Vince takes a deep breath, which clearly demonstrates something to Pidge. Then we reverse on Hunk. The music turns down slightly, and we reveal Allura with her hand on the stereo knob next to Hunk. So she's turning down his music so she can talk to him. And she says, "Hey, Hunk, why don't you join us? This is another great chance to bond with the cadets." And Hunk says, "We're cool." You know, like he's got an in with the cadets now. And he smirks and the music gets louder again as we fade to that final scene at the...
And there's actually, well, the script actually implies, although it wouldn't have been obvious visually, the script implies that they go to the lair and it says earlier. So the last scene in the lair is a flashback from the perspective of the scene that got cut.
And now, this is why he's good with the cadets.
Yes, but that would not have been obvious in the episode. And I mean, because the lair is completely interior. And so how would you sell that they're outdoors at some time of day and then they're in this giant room under a castle and it's earlier in the day? There's no way you could have done that unless they had something at the bottom earlier.
Yeah, so what it would have brought is back to the beginning of the episode where he promised a barbecue and now he finally got to deliver on that.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was good. That was a great episode.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes. I just love all the stuff with Hunk. Aside from the lack of the Hunk Vince scene, you know, that Hunk had he had the scene with Daniel, the scene with Larmina, something there. Other than that, I really, really love this episode.
Yep.
How about you, Mel?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and based on the art behind you, Hunk is a favorite of yours from this show.
Oh yes. Keith and Lance are up there too. From Force only.
Nice.
Okay.
And Mark, you're a fan of this one too, huh?
Yeah, well, I like the fact that this sort of gives us a little bit of information that we see in later episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives us a little bit about Stereolactic and both Larmina and Hunk's love of music.
Mm-hmm.
And then also it gives us a little glimpse into what we're going to see later with some vehicles that the cadets build that turn into something even better.
Yes.
You know?
So as Daniel says, awesome in this episode.
Exactly.
That's foreshadowing.
All that foreshadowing of future episodes and stuff like that, I thought was really great.
Yep.
And they still made it a very action-packed and fun episode.
Yeah, and I think you can contrast this with Karan 2 episodes before, which also laid groundwork into future episodes where, you see more of the lair and Vince has got his powers, and it begins to lay that roadmap out a little bit more. But I don't feel like I don't think it blended the exposition with a tight story that was all that gripping. This one was just fun from start to finish. Karan to me, the action was cool, but it was a forgettable episode to me. This one was awesome start to finish.
It was more fun because the stakes weren't as high. Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In all the other episodes, you usually either have Wade or you have Mayhawks and Lotor and all that kind of stuff. And the stakes are really high because the big bads are there,
Mm-hmm.
In this one, it's just his Wade droids. We're not really worried about Wade droids, are we?
Yeah.
So we kind of know they're going to take care of it. Plus, they got to form Voltron twice. Plus, they got to reconfigure into another type of Voltron we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And then we went back to Black Center and did something else.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how effortless it was to form Black Center when they couldn't change centers at all at the beginning of the episode. Keats is like, form Black Center, and they do. Maybe that would have been a good payoff for a scene we never got with Hunk and Vince. Maybe if Hunk had told Vince, believe in yourself, maybe wrapped in a little bit of a story about Hunk's past or something, maybe that would have given him a confidence boost that would have let him effortlessly, I did it, let them form Black Center. You know what I mean? There a little bit more there could have made that pay off a bit. But there's one more thing I want to point out visually about this episode. One of my favorite formation shots in the whole series is in this episode, and it's reused once or twice more later, when the lions are arranged like they're going to combine into Black Center, and the black and yellow lion change places. Yes, so there's a shot where the lions are all arranged. You see the black lion, the arm and leg lions are positioned a short distance away. And then the black and yellow lions change positions. And a lot of fans have rightly pointed out that the lions, to be able to interchange, there's got to be some magic that goes on, because Voltron's arms are smaller than his legs, which are smaller than Voltron's torso. There's a really, really good shot in this episode that helps to suspend disbelief, where the lions change places. If you look very closely, and I did because I'm that weird, at the shot frame to frame, as the black lion, it's arranged with its head up, and yellow lion's head is down. As they switch places, there's a moment where the two lions are both pointed directly at the camera. And if you look very, very closely and index it through frame to frame, there's a very quick dissolve as the lions are pointed at the camera where they switch 3D models. Ooh. And so the black lion is the torso lion, and the yellow lion is the leg lion, because they have different models for all the modes. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's the lion model, the torso model, and then whatever else they might form. Right. So the red lion's got the arm model. The black lion does an arm and a leg, but they're different models because of the need to cheat. And that's okay. It's a cartoon. It doesn't have to work mechanically. But if you watch this shot as they change places, there's a really quick dissolve. It's a blink and you'll miss it. And it's beautiful. And I'm hats off to the animators for doing this. It really works well. So check it out. It's beautiful.
Okay.
That's all.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yep. Me too. Well, there was something that I noticed in the episode that was a bit of an animation error.
What's that? What's that?
Those, when Hunk is talking a bit about his race car past, his emblem disappears for a bit, and then it comes right back. Yeah.
Well,
I didn't notice that one either. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, hats off to you. If I were wearing a hat, I would take it off too. There are, and I will say there are numerous examples, not a lot, but there are several examples throughout Voltron Force where you'll see that Larmina's outfit is the wrong color in a few shots. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but maybe I'll point those out in future reviews, but it does happen from time to time.
Isn't there somebody on a production staff for animation that's called like the continuity supervisor or something like that to try to make sure that, nothing like that happens?
There probably is, yeah,
Okay,
but nobody's perfect.
right.
Yeah, so it's not. Can you imagine being I know this is an aside. We're wrapping up here, but Ninja Turtles, before they color the turtles, can you imagine having to be that continuity person?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my Lord, when the turtles are talking,
Uh-huh.
that's all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There've been a lot of
That's a
mistakes
good
with
one.
those.
what was that, Mel?
Oh, there has been a lot of color mistakes with the old Ninja Turtles too.
Oh yeah, yep, tons of those. But anyway, Voltron Force, the Hunkyard, kicks all kind of butt.
Awesome episode. And we're looking forward to all the rest of the episodes of those 26.
Yes. Oh my gosh, episode 10. Woo! My goodness.
Which one
That
is
one
10?
got me. When
Which one?
Vince is stuck in the Hegarium ship. And
Oh, is it dark blue? Is that what you're talking about?
Or was it all underwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
dark blue.
That's a good one.
Oh man, stuff just went from bad to worse to worse. I don't know what was gonna happen to poor Vince, but wait, I shouldn't spoil anything.
That's all right.
It's been 10 years. Hopefully
Yep.
people have watched these. But yes, thank you so much, Mel, for joining us.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
and helping us out. It's always a blast to have you.
Yay, I'm glad.
We had fun.
Yeah, we did. I missed you guys so much.
Thank you, Mel.
Immensely.
We missed you too.
Thank you.
You'll have to come back again sometime, hopefully
Yes.
in less time than since you were last on.
Right.
Anytime.
All right. Good deal.
All right. Well, we're going to be doing what episode next?
It is Lion Rider's Return. That's a good
Oh,
one, too.
Lion Rider's Return. Good.
Yes.
So we're going to see Ariel, another planet that we haven't seen yet.
Yes. This is Ariel, the planet not to be confused with anyway.
The mermaid.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. This
That's
is a
right.
planet.
Yes. That's one
So-
big mermaid.
Right.
All right. Thanks
Okay.
again. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
joining us, Mel.
You're welcome anytime.
And we'll see you all next time on
Let's Voltron!